Hello, folks. Hasn't it been a long time? I'm just doing this very randomly with no warning, no specific plan other than to see what happens, really, and have a chat with you lot about what we should chat about going forward. I posted on Facebook a month ago, maybe more, and loads of you responded with suggestions, and I'm really grateful for that. Thank you. Um, and what I wanted to do was to give you guys the lowdown on some of the suggestions and some of those that were the more popular suggestions. And you know what? The funny thing is, as I'm doing this, it's been so long since I used this. I'm just looking at I'm looking at the screen. It's starting to come back to me. Oh look, there you go, Darren, mate. Thank you for that. It's great to see you as well, because I forgot how this worked, but your comment just appeared, which really helps because I it's been. I'll tell you what's really sad was when I came in to set this up, I realised from what was on the screen from the last broadcast I ever did was Rory Young from Chengeta Wildlife, my dear friend, the founder and CEO of Chengeta Wildlife, who was tragically lost about coming up to 18 months ago, as you will probably remember. Hello, Winnie. And so all of the links to Rory, his Facebook, his Twitter, Instagram, Chengeta Wildlife, their website, and all of the ways you could help them, that all came up, and I was like, wow, hasn't it been a long time? And how poignant right now as well, with everything that's just happened, to suddenly remember that it was Rory that I last did this with, who tragically is no longer with us. But you know, with me, things crazy, tragic, significant things happen. The last of which was the pandemic, which actually started the Food for Thought live broadcasts. And subsequent to that, as I say, there were 24 episodes of that, and the last of them was Rory. After that, I kind of just took a bit of a step back from it for various reasons. And as I said, recently I put a post out saying if I was to do some more live broadcasts, who'd want to chat about what? And forgive me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Lata, is said more on veganism. That was one of the many suggestions that came through. And to give you a taste of what some of the other suggestions were, King, remember the lion cub that I had the honor of escorting back to, well, I shouldn't say back to South Africa, but to his ancestral home in South Africa with the Born Free Foundation, after he was rescued from a Paris apartment of all things. So yes, a King update, an update on UK dog rescues and what they're doing. I think there was a particular question around that regarding Brexit, of course, because there's probably a very, very different set of rules and regulations and laws now in regards to moving dogs around. Hello, Larry. Goodness me, how are you? And to all of you, sorry, there's lots of lovely hellos. Hi, Sue, Baniaz, Tunzia, thank you. Hello. Here's one. This is by far, I think, the most. I don't even want to use the word popular, but it seems to be the most urgent in a lot of people's minds. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing that's not urgent in terms of animal welfare, animal conservation. It's all urgent as far as I'm concerned. But of course, we only have the ability to talk about one thing at a time. I mean, we could talk about everything, but it would be a little bit of it perhaps would dilute some of the really important issues that we need to address, and we need to address them in very specific ways. And with that being the case, one of the things that came up, which clearly does need to be addressed in a very specific way, Camp Beagle. Now, I have to say, it's not something I've ever been involved in. I'm aware of it, and I'm horrified by it, and so heartbroken by what goes on. And several people suggested Camp Beagle, and several people responded to the suggestion saying, yes, absolutely, that's a really important idea. So I think perhaps what we should do is talk about that. And when I say talk about it, I guess what I mean is over the course of a week, let's say, and I don't know when I'll do these broadcasts exactly. I don't know with what frequency, and I don't know what time on what day. It might end up being quite random like this, because of course we have the luxury of them being recorded anyway. So once it's out live, it sits there on my Facebook page anyway, and indeed on my YouTube channel. So it's not necessary for people to see it when it's live, but whenever I do it, ultimately people can still see it afterwards. But the point is, I can collate as much information and data and links, ways in which people can help, and what have you, prior to doing the broadcast, so that when I come onto these broadcasts, which I've done today, by the way, about some different stuff, because I know that you guys, God bless you all, are so into animal welfare and conservation that you'll want to hear about these things. And so, yeah, Sandy, hey, a King update. Absolutely, I'd love to. What I will tell you right now is a very minor update, is that King is doing incredibly well. He's at the Shamwari Big Cat Sanctuary at Born Free's facility over there in South Africa, and he is not only doing very well and is a beautiful, handsome, I guess, adolescent or potentially even adult male lion now. He's also got a girlfriend, so he's doing really well for himself. And so, as I say, with any subject that we address, and I'll address them all. Put it this way: I'll go through the list, and all of it needs addressing. And like I said, everything's equally important to me, and I'm sure all of you. And we will address it all. And I feel like it's time for me to get back out there and do just that. So I will. Just to continue with that list, dairy industry, the realities of it, the horrors of it, of course, because what you get, and I've experienced this myself, you get a lot of no disrespect to vegetarians, of course, but you get a lot of vegetarians who have taken that step, and that they draw the line at meat and fish, but they still consume dairy, and very, very commonly not realizing just how horrific the dairy industry is, and of course that it is essentially one and the same thing, because the dairy cows, once spent, which I'm led to believe is about 6 cycles in. By cycles, I mean having a calf and lactating and still producing milk. They're spent as far as reproduction is concerned, and then they are in the meat industry. So it's almost worse in that way. But anyway, the horrors of the dairy industry would be a good one to cover, because I think it would help some people who feel vegetarianism is sufficient for them realize the horrors and the realities of the dairy industry, which of course, by consuming dairy, you still support. Here's a really good one. This is a really interesting one. And by the way, I'm sorry, I wrote a list. I've gone old school. I've written a list from the comments that I got on Facebook. And so that's why I'm looking down here. I'm reading it as I talk to you. And I haven't written the names of the people who made these suggestions. You'll be able to see it on the comments of a few posts down my Facebook page. This one is, I think, really, really interesting and really important. The suggestion was that we talk about how activists can come together to make a greater impact together, to have to effect more change together. And I agree with the comment that was made wholeheartedly. That really is the only way, and this is the point that the commenter was making. That's the only way we're going to really affect change. Because sadly, we could all probably put our finger on any number of topics, fox hunting being one, which also came up, which we've addressed over and over and over again. And guess what? It still happens. Yes, things have changed. Yes, arguably, I suppose you could say things are better, but they're still bad. Activists coming together to make change. What an incredible, broad, complex topic that is, but I think one that we absolutely should discuss. Maybe we can facilitate some of the bigger charities coming together and doing just that through our conversations. We'll try. Importance of microchipping, how we can help hedgehogs, like having little holes in the fence, tunnels under the fences of our garden, our back gardens for the hedgehogs, little hedgehog highways. Vegan cooking tips and recipes. That I'm more than happy to cover it, but it's not going to be coming from me. It'll be coming from you guys. I'm rubbish. Everything I eat is vegan, but I generally just go the lazy route, including lazy vegan, which I have to say is pretty good. Lazy vegan, frozen meals where you just lob them in a frying pan, and it's it's probably quite a healthy option, actually. Ways to help. This was a great one as well. How can we help charities in a non-financial way? Huge one. That was actually what the Food for Thought live broadcasts essentially were aimed at doing in a broad sense, is exactly that, because the question on everyone's mind was, how can we help the charities now? Everyone's terrified for losing this is going back 2.5 years, whenever it was that the pandemic first hit. Lockdown, furloughs, people losing jobs, people being made redundant, and people understandably protecting their money that they did have. And so all charities, including the animal charities, their income plummeted as soon as the pandemic hit, plummeted to like 50% of the previous year, that sort of thing. So great point here. How do we help charities in non-financial ways? Covering trophy hunting, covering elephants, covering, as I mentioned, fox hunting, tighter controls over drag hunts, which is the loophole that the fox hunters still exploit in order to fox hunt. The school curriculum, including kids being taught about veganism, vegetarianism, animal welfare, animal conservation, compassion generally. Wouldn't that be nice to see that in the curriculum? And how bizarre is it? I've always thought it was so bizarre that you don't get kids taught compassion and empathy and kindness at school. And it would probably be laughed at if you even suggested it. But what a strange thing that is, because everything and everyone in society would benefit if everyone was more compassionate and kind. And it seems like it's a very obvious thing to add to the agenda, to the curriculum. Anyway, those are just some of the examples of things that was suggested, and that's not all of the list, by the way. There were loads of suggestions, and they're great. And as I said, I'll try and cover them all. Just keeping an eye on your guys' comments as well. Is there anything that I can do to help with the streams going forward? What a legend! Thank you, Darren. I'll let you know. I will. I'll message you. I'm not sure exactly what I'm even going to do yet, as you will have gathered from the beginning of my broadcast. I really don't know what I'm going to. I don't know what the format's going to be, other than I'm going to probably sit here at my desk with my microphone and my camera and talk. And maybe we'll get some guests on like we did before, but maybe I'll just provide a bunch of information. I don't know, but Darren, thank you so much for that kind offer. I really appreciate that. And I will let you know. For this, and here's where I have to try and remember how we do it. Oh, no, I can. Banner. I can do a banner. And I remember now. It's all coming back to me. See, look, I can do this. It's clever, isn't it? Visit bornfree.org.uk. I did spell it right. Look at that. I can do that, but you can't click on it. And the reason I mentioned Born Free is because there's two specific things I wanted to talk about today, as well as talk about the list of things to talk about and put it out there for you guys to say, bam, let's talk about that. I think Camp Beagle sounds like it's right up there at the top of the priority list. But as I said, just to clarify, I don't think that any particular animal issue is more important than another. It just seems like that was a very hot topic. And I think there's some stuff, I feel ignorant saying I'm not 100% sure what's been happening, but I think some stuff has recently been happening at Camp Beagle, something like a sign-off for more beagles to be used. And it's tragic and heartbreaking and disgusting in equal measure. You may well be aware beagles are the most commonly used dog species in animal experimentation. And guess why? Because they're really placid in nature. So they don't put up much of a fight. How disgusting is that? But anyway, we'll cover them all. I promise you now, we'll cover all the topics that we can. And who knows how long this will run for. We'll just do it. But the thing is, as I refresh my memory on how to use this, I'm going to come back to you, Darren. That's a really good point as well. Hi, Anne, and hi, Lisa. Yeah, see, you guys are making some great suggestions. I think you guys can probably all see this. I think what's happening is, in fact, there's a little Facebook logo by each of your names, and so I think that suggests that the chat, the comment you're making, you're doing in Facebook, which is great because then it records it there, it keeps it there, and As I'm refreshing my memory on how to use this, it's come back to me that what I used to do is I'd say, oh, look, there's this link, like the bornfree.org.uk link that you see right there, that someone would very kindly put into the chat. I can do that myself, of course, subsequent to this. But the reason I wanted you guys to go visit Born Free, as I always do, is because there's an event on the 23rd of September, which is a week today. Is it? No, 2 weeks, yesterday. Sorry about that. I hope you didn't hear that horrifically loud motorbike going by. Yeah, sorry. It's not a week today. It's 2 weeks yesterday. Friday the 23rd of September is what they're calling the Born Free main event. Main as in a lion's mane. Clever. You'll find it right there on the homepage, which is why I put the Born Free main web address up on the screen right now. Cool. I can post a comment. Look, see, I just remember that as well. Look, here we go. www.bornfree.org.uk. Proving that it is a live event. There it is. There's the link that you can click, which takes you through to the Born Free website. And on that main page, if you just didn't do that deliberately. If you scroll down on that main page, the landing page, the home page, you'll find the main event right underneath where they've got the article about the Bristol Lion Sculpture exhibition, which is still ongoing. Not for much longer, though, I don't think. I think it moves this month. Get down and check it out if you can. What an incredible exhibition that is. And that's another thing worth looking at on the Born Free website. You'll find it right above what I actually meant to talk about, which is the main event. Friday the 23rd of September. It's in Surrey, out in the Surrey countryside, I believe, near Dorking. Some of the most wonderful people on earth will be there. Namely Will Travers and Virginia McKenna herself. First in-person event that Born Free will have had since before the pandemic. And I'll be there myself, as will some wonderful human beings who I would love for you to meet and join us on the evening. So check it out and get a ticket if you fancy it. And that lion sculpture event in Bristol, I was fortunate enough to go down there and help them with the launch of that when it moved from, I think it was Newcastle originally, down to Bristol. And one of them was stolen. And I mean, these are life-size lion sculptures, solid bronze lion sculptures. I probably shouldn't say solid because I don't know that that's true. But they're bronze lion sculptures. And someone stole one, with no doubt the intention of melting down the bronze and selling it. How disgusting. That's what we're up against, folks. Sandy, thank you very much for your kind comment. Okay, so there's a oh, look, we're getting spammed. We're getting spammed by a dating site. Watch it, folks. Don't click on anything that's just coming up on the chat in Facebook. It's clearly garbage. If I knew how to block it, I would right now, but I don't. Who knew? Man, there's a lot of that nonsense these days. There's so many scammers. Oh, I'll tell you what, it's completely not related to animals. I will say this, because it's less common knowledge than I think it should be. I've recently, and when I say recently, I mean over the last couple of years, I've kind of caught onto some YouTube channels where they are scam baiters. In other words, these are very IT savvy people who basically dedicate their time to pretending to be a vulnerable old lady or man. They use voice changing software, and they waste the time of scammers. And these scammers make several $1 billion a year, mostly based in India, but not just India. And they scam the most vulnerable. I had to disconnect my mum's laptop. My mum, unfortunately, is not in good health, and hasn't been for some time, partly why I did the disappearing act. And on her laptop, I found a thing called Team Viewer. And that's one of those ways that someone can remote onto your laptop. And so if you're getting IT support or technical help, you could give someone access to your computer. So you literally see your cursor moving. You see the mouse being moved by someone else. So someone can navigate your machine and fix it for you in theory, but it's used in, less honorable ways, and it's scamming. And I found Team Viewer on my mum's laptop. There's another one called AnyDesk. If you ever find that on an elderly relative's laptop, or indeed if you yourself have been convinced by somebody to install that and they're telling you that they're from Norton or from Google or from Microsoft or from you name it, and they're calling to support you, or they're calling to give you a refund. There's so many scams going on these days. The reason I mention that, even though it's completely off topic, is because look in the chat in Facebook, and you'll see that there's a ton of absolute garbage just come in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 messages about some, I don't even know. Don't click on it. Please don't click on it. But it's clearly just some kind of spam phishing garbage. It seems to be rife right now. I don't know how it. And there it is again. Same thing. Maybe they're listening. If you are, no, I won't do it because maybe there's kids watching as well. Get off my stream. Latta, again, forgive me if I haven't pronounced your name right. What do we do to stop animal trafficking? Huge and very important question. Born Free tackles that to the best of their ability. It's a very, very difficult question to answer. It's a very difficult problem to solve. But I will tell you this, animal trafficking, or the illegal wildlife trade, is among the biggest of all criminal endeavors on earth, literally alongside things like human trafficking, narcotics, and it's bigger, if you can believe, than things like the arms trade, the illegal arms trade, the diamond trade, all these various different criminal enterprises. Wildlife trafficking is right up there as the most lucrative of all of them. So it's a huge question that needs answering. Thank you, Catherine. That's very sweet of you. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. Anyway, Catherine, the Beagles thing. Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about all of these things. Thank you, Tasha. You're a sweetheart. How nice to see your name pop up. Thank you very much. You're a sweetheart. I miss you guys. So the Born Free main event was one of the two things. So I don't need to have topics. I can just waffle for hours. You will have noticed. The Born Free main event, September 23rd. We'd love to see you there. It's going to be the most fantastic event. And as I said, it's the first opportunity in several years to see the likes of Will and Virginia in person. And there'll be some special guests, and we would love for you to join us. The other thing I wanted to talk about this evening, on top of this ongoing conversation about what should we talk about going forward, in terms of animal welfare and animal conservation, is I had the honor of going to a book launch for my friend Philip Limbury, the CEO of Compassion in World Farming, and also a wonderful human being, an author. And he has just, about a month ago, just released this book, which you'll find. I'm also going to put a little link up. Again, I'll put it into the chat too in Facebook so that you can... You know what else I can do is I can share screen, can't I? I've just remembered. Look, let's do this. Let's do this. How do I do this? Am I sharing my screen? All right, let's share this one. Window. All right, it's going to be a bit weird for a second because you're going to see infinite me, which is not good. But what we're going to do is we're going to really quickly change that. There we go. So you should be seeing that screen now, are you? Hopefully you're seeing a screen. Let's see. Yeah, you are. Boom. There's the infinity. Ignore that. Look at that. 60 harvests left. That's the book right there. There's Philip Limbury there on the left with Peter Egan and Joanna Lumley at the launch. And it's an incredible book. And it's, I'll tell you what I love about this book, while I also copy and paste the link so you can go straight to the Compassion in World Farming website and grab information about it. Boom. Stop sharing. There we go. Before it gets weird. Let me create a banner with this. Boom. Bam. This is going to be ugly. Right? It's going to be ugly. See? But don't worry about it, because check it out. It's coming into the chat as well. I'm going to put it in amongst the comments. Hello, Dave. How you doing, old mate? Paste. Bosh. All right. See, in the Facebook chat now, there's that link, that ugly, great link on the screen. So you don't have to worry about writing it down or remembering it. You can just click on the link in the Facebook chat. That's going to take you right to this book. or information about this book that Philip wrote. And it's, the thing I love about this book. Well, let me start with the bad news. 60 Harvests Left, the title. The reason for that is because Philip is among the experts in what is referred to as soil degradation. And soil degradation is largely due to huge animal agriculture, factory farming, and also the feed for those animals, because there's an inordinate amount of land in the world used to grow crops which feed animals which are then eaten. So it's a ridiculous situation, really. But because of all that, the soil is only able to sustain a certain amount of nutrients, and each harvest uses some nutrients. And that terrifying title, 60 Harvests Left, is a real thing. There's thought to be as few as 60 crop cycles left before soil becomes just dirt. And there's a big difference between soil and dirt. Soil has nutrients. Soil has the ability to sustain life and grow stuff. Dirt is dirt. It's just dirt. It doesn't have anything. You could plant a seed and it won't grow because there's nothing for the seed to feed on and become whatever it is. That's why it's called 60 Harvests Left. Terrifying. However, Philip is he does this in a beautiful way. I won't spoil it for you, but it's like it follows its 4 seasons, and it starts with summer, then autumn, then winter, then spring. And spring, as we know, is like newness and new life and regeneration and hope. And that's how his book is written. So it's not like doom and gloom. It's saying, yeah, there are 60 harvests left, but it's primarily saying, here's how we can fix that. So it was a really important one. I thought well worth mentioning. Hello, Sarah. How nice to see you. You and Caleb. Hello. I was just talking about you guys today. It's so nice to see your name pop up. And I'm looking forward to seeing Caleb's impressive Lego Land Rover Discovery. Very impressive. What an undertaking. So anyway, 60 Harvests Left. That's a book well worth getting. Least not, as I say, because it's a book that will give you hope. And I know from experience, and we've talked about it before many times, that this endeavor of ours, this shared purpose of ours, which is the welfare of animals and the conservation of animals, it doesn't come cheap, does it? It comes at a price. Lynn, you know exactly what I'm talking about as well. We struggle, don't we? Sometimes we feel it. That's the whole point of. That's why we love animals. Rory Cockshaw, what a legend from Viva. Rory and I shared a speech up at the Good Heart Animal Sanctuary a couple of weeks back. And this guy's a legend. He's a vegan activist working for Viva. Wonderful guy. Look him up, check him out, follow him, listen to what he has to say. What a legend he is. Hello, Rory. Nice to see you, mate. And hello, Lisa. And hello, Alison. Some of the suggestions we talked about earlier on came from Alison. So yeah, I do sidetrack myself, don't I? I can't remember what I was talking about, but it doesn't matter, because the point is, get the book. It won't. Oh, that was what I was talking about. The fact that it can hurt, it can really exhaust you, can't it? Emotionally and mentally. When you, needless to say, to get involved in and address these problems, you have to understand them. You have to know that they exist. And when you know that some of these things exist, like Camp Beagle, it's heartbreaking and it takes its toll. And over the years, that's something you have to learn to address, I guess, learn to deal with. Otherwise, we'd stop, wouldn't we? Which isn't an option. So let's, hey, Ali. Yeah. So Ali works with Philip at Compassion in World Farming, and very kindly invited me to the launch of this book. So that's why I know about it. And you're more than welcome. I wouldn't miss the opportunity to talk about it. And yeah, let's keep these chats going. So look, this has been completely impromptu, and hope no one thinks it's indelicate timing. I just, as I said at the beginning of this one, when focus goes elsewhere, which of course it has, just like it did when the pandemic hit, my immediate thought is, oh my God, it's already tough enough for the animals. What now? While everything's just sort of forgotten for a little while. It's not an option. There you go. So Darren's just said, no, hold on, look, I remember this as well. Let me show you, look. I'd forgotten all this stuff. As I'm using it, I'm thinking, oh yeah, hang on. I used to do something different. And then it's that. I click this, I can show a comment. There you go. Thanks, Darren. Look at that. For anyone who's not seeing it, which I'm sure you are, but just in case, little tip for you, lupins will help regenerate your allotment soil. Plant those with veggies. How apt. Thank you, Darren. Talking about 60 harvests left. Dave is asking what happened with Food for Thought. Food for Thought is very close. What happened, essentially, and thanks for asking that, Dave. It's a good point. I probably should have added that to my list of things to talk about. Food for Thought, for anyone who doesn't know, these broadcasts were called Food for Thought Live. And the reason that happened is because I was in the process of, and still am, don't worry, I'm in the process of creating a documentary with my dear friend, Giles Alderson. Food for Thought is a film that explores the driving forces behind this global vegan phenomenon that we're enjoying. Inarguably, the vegan thing has grown massive, and it's gone from marginalized to mainstream. The film explores why. It's just asking the question why. And as soon as the pandemic hit, it meant we suddenly weren't able to get out and film stuff. We were locked down, as you all know. In particular, because two of our last remaining interviews that we had to do were in Rome, in Italy, and in Los Angeles, California, which you may remember, Rome, or at least Italy, was the epicenter of the pandemic in Europe for a while there. So that idea was gone. And then shortly after that, America, took the lead. So we weren't able to go there either. So we basically had a hiatus. We couldn't do anything. So we've been delayed by about 2 years. Having said that, here's another thing I should have probably put on my list of things to mention. My friend Katie has just released a film called Why on Earth. Now, it's not available in the UK yet, as far as I know, but it will soon be. It is, if anyone's joining us from the States, or if any of you are those clever people who can tinker with IP addresses and you access things like Amazon US rather than the UK, you'll be able to watch it. It's called Why on Earth. And this is a documentary that I was very proud to take part in about 4.5 years ago. I was in Kenya with Najin and Fatu, which is Sudan, the last male northern white rhino who died a couple of years ago, as you'll recall. It's his daughter and granddaughter, and I was there for the documentary to cover the rhinos and some other stuff in Africa as well. And that film has just been released. The point being, that film took about 4.5 years. The filmmaking process is a long one, a very long one. And I know a lot of you folks on this chat right here have contributed to it when we did a crowdfunder. So Dave's question is very pertinent and a good question. What's happening? It's coming. We did film, as I said, we were up at Good Heart a couple of weeks ago, where we had the pleasure of meeting Rory from Viva, among others, including all the wonderful staff at Good Heart and the animals, of course. The reason we were there, aside from the open weekend they were having, was to film for Food for Thought. And it was our closing sequences that we were filming. We're really happy with it. It's really exciting. And it's looking great. We just got to do the final touches. Giles is on a big project at the moment, which has him away abroad for about 3 months. But of course, we have the luxury of things like this, Skype and Zoom, and so we'll be continuing with the work of the edit. We have probably got a little tiny bit more filming to do just to glue it all together, but we're very close, very, very close. I don't want to put a time on it, simply because I've learned from experience that when you do that, the unforeseen happens, and then you fail to deliver on the promise. I'd rather just say it's coming soon, and it is, and we're really, really in good shape and really close. So it will be released soon, and don't worry, you will hear all about it right here when it is, and hopefully elsewhere too, because we'll see if we can get some marketing and advertising. Just checking some of the comments. I apologize. I always do this because I'm never very good at keeping up with all the comments. But there are lots, and I'm grateful to all of you for being here and for commenting and engaging and interacting. And thank you for that. So yeah, Why on Earth film if you can, but if you can't, don't worry, it'll be out sometime soon. It's a great film, and it's all about. It opens with Clint Eastwood. You'll see an ad for it, a trailer for it. If you scroll down on my Facebook page just a wee bit past the pelican photos that I just did in California last week, which was there for another animal charity, which will be revealed in future. But I think about the fourth post down my Facebook page is the trailer for Why on Earth. Check it out when you can. It covers all the topics that you guys are so passionate about and that I'm so passionate about. So it's a good film. It's a really good film. And I'll keep you posted as to when it is released in the UK if you're unable to see it before that. Right now it's just US and Canada, but on all platforms, Amazon, iTunes, Hulu, all the usual suspects. I'm not sure if it's on Netflix, but it's the US and Canada. 60 harvests left. The link is in the chat. Scroll a little way up from the last. You'll see my name up there, and you'll find the link for this. Scroll a little further up, and you'll find the link to the Born Free homepage. And on the homepage, you'll find both the Bristol Lion sculpture exhibition, which is insanely beautiful, and it includes King. It's wonderful. And it also, scroll a little further down, you'll find the main event. The main event is the in-person event that's taking place on the 23rd of September, 2 weeks from yesterday. So Friday, the 23rd of September. And we'd love to see you there. Tickets are available. And food for thought coming soon. And live chats coming soon. So I'll do this. I promise I'm gonna get back into it because it's time. And at the absence, I don't want to be cryptic about it. The absence is as I say, unfortunate. I think I talked about it on Facebook years ago. So I'm just going to say it because I don't want anyone to think that I've ever taken my eye off the ball with animal conservation and welfare. I've been doing stuff, I just haven't been doing it publicly. You probably know this. This is going to sound very dramatic and heartbreaking. Please don't worry. It's life. Mum was hit by a car 4.5 years ago. 4.5 years, just over 4 years ago, which you guys probably remember because I did talk about that. And unfortunately, what that did was the brain injury that she sustained from that triggered dementia. And so we lost her a long time ago, but she's still with us. Dementia is something I know some of you will have dealt with because so many people have. It's horrific. It's really difficult. It's really ugly. It's a one-way street. There's no happy ending to it. It basically will eventually kill her and anyone who has it. It's just a case of when. And you can never believe you'd find yourself saying it, but when it comes to dementia, you genuinely think, even of those you love the most in the world, it couldn't come quick enough because it's just such an ugly disease. And any cognitive degenerative disorder is so cruel on not just the person but the family. Jen, I'm so sorry that you had that with your uncle. It's quite bizarre and terrifying to me because when I talk, I do things like I'll call up British Telecom and tell them that I need to cancel my mum's contract for a landline and broadband because there's literally no. She doesn't do it. She's stuck in a 20-second loop. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't make or take phone calls. She doesn't use the internet for any reason. And in talking to them, and you think, oh, this is gonna be really laborious. The first person I spoke to, oh yeah, man, my grandfather had dementia. I know what you're going through. Don't worry, I'll put you through to the right person. Next person you talk to, you're saying, thanks for your help, and they're saying, no, I fully understand. I went through the same thing with my mum. So many people have been through it, and I know so many of you guys will have as well. And the cruelest thing of it is the fact that you're mourning someone who's still there. We've lost her in the sense that she's just not her anymore. But she's still there. She's still alive. I was there today. I'm there as often as I can be. She's, oh God, Sarah. Yeah. Okay. You're an angel. Sarah has just said, I nurse dementia patients. It's heartbreaking. It is. But Sarah, you are an earth angel. It takes a very special kind of person to do that. And I know that from firsthand experience now. I can even say I couldn't do it. It's astonishing. Thank goodness for people like you. I don't know I don't know how you people aren't the heroes at the very top of the pile. I really don't. But the reason I mention that isn't for sympathy or for, you know, it's not a sob story. It's just to say, because I know that there's like a lot of, there's been a big gap. A lot of time has passed since my last broadcast. That's why it's just taken an awful lot of getting used to. It's life, and it could be worse. That's the thing I keep telling myself. It could be a lot worse. You know, there's some awful stuff going on, but I know from people telling me their stories that it could be so much worse. And of course it might get much worse, but you've got to look on the bright side, right? You've got to find the positives. Sandy, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Because yeah, this is what I knew would happen. Is as soon as I mention it, I know that there's going to be a bunch of you that will go, yeah, I've been through that. I've been through that. It's so common. It's so widespread, and it's just it's heartbreaking. So I'm so sorry that any of you have ever been through it. It's horrible, and I sincerely hope that any of you who haven't been through it never do go through it. It's horrific. It's why I've been gone for so long. It's why I've been absent. Rest assured, I've been still doing stuff. I just haven't been doing it publicly because I just didn't feel like I had that. I don't know how to describe it really, but that's why I've been sort of gone publicly. But I'm back, and I'm going to be focusing on all these wonderful suggestions that you guys made, and more. There were more suggestions that were made, and more suggestions in this chat, and I promise, address as many of them as I can. I think that's about it, folks. I think that's about it. The things to remember: little mosquito, go away. We won't hurt it because we're friendly to all animals, but don't bite me. Don't you feast on me. So 60 harvests left. Born Free Foundation. Why on earth, if you can see it, US or Canada? And stay tuned for more live broadcasts. And I think, as I said, I think what's probably going to be a good idea. Let me just get rid of that real quick, Bosh. I think what's probably a good idea. Let's. I don't see why anything else would supersede it, but I think Camp Beagle sounds like something. I need to educate myself on it anyway, so it's probably a very good way to enforce that upon myself, and I think it's something we need to discuss rapidly, because it's right here on our doorstep. You know, this is one of the things that I find difficult about animal welfare and conservation. So many times I see, and I know you guys have seen it too, I see these bizarre, I understand it as well, by the way, because there's so much passion and it's very difficult sometimes when you hear about various things happening in various parts of the world. But I see this very misguided thing where people say, oh, you know, whatever, well, let's say whatever, pick a country, bullfighting in Spain. Oh, goddamn Spain, bullfight. You know, it's disgusting. How dare they? Well, we've got beagles, we've got fox hunting, you name it. And I'm not trying to put a downer on it, but when it comes to animal conservation and welfare, there isn't a country on earth, there isn't a species on earth that isn't exploited in some way by us, by humankind. So we've all got problems in every country with so many species, and goodness knows where to start, but let's just start. So I reckon the next one, or the first one, let's say, is beagles. And I'll reach out to the person who suggested it, because I think there's a couple of people I'm connected to who are very closely involved in the campaigns to try to end that. So we'll jump on that. I haven't, as I say, I haven't educated myself nearly enough on that subject, other than the basics, and I also haven't ever really got behind any campaign other than signing petitions and stuff. But we will change that, and we'll jump on and fix stuff. Yeah, Nikki. So look. Yeah, see, I think you and I saw the same video. It's so heartbreaking. I just saw something in the last day or two. I keep seeing things about Camp Beagle, and a couple of people suggested it, and a load of people supported those suggestions. So that's why I've brought it up. I think you and I saw the same footage there, Nikki, and it's heartbreaking. These dogs, as I say, they're so placid, they're so good-natured, and that's why they're used for animal experimentation. You have to question the morals, or the moral compass of a person who's capable of doing that. Imagine doing that for a living, experimenting on an animal because it's nice and placid. It won't put up much of a fight. My God. We're going to fix that. I'm telling you right now. We will fix some of this stuff. That's the key message from this. And all of these broadcasts, that's the whole purpose of them. We will fix some of these issues. We will prevent some of the cruelty that's inflicted upon animals by mankind. We will. That's a fact. It's happening every day, and we have to focus on that, and we have to do more of it. Dave's saying, has anyone noticed the crocodile trend going on? Let's have a look at this. I haven't. I tell you, yeah. I find it so difficult. I'm going to tell you a story, real quick story, because I know the people involved aren't. Well, I don't think they follow me on Facebook anyway. I know. I just connected. I was in California last week, and you guys may have seen. I posted some stories. I was literally standing on the beach watching dolphins in the wild. It's an amazing place. LA. A lot of people hate LA, but I don't go to the LA that most people know. I'm a little bit out in what they call the beach cities. If anyone does know Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach, that area, it's literally just south of LAX. You can leave the airport and be there in 20 minutes. But keep in mind, you're in one of the biggest, most popular cities on earth, and you can stand on the beach and you can see pelicans. Those are the photos on my Facebook page. Seals, whales, dolphins. I was watching black skimmers, which are these incredible birds I've never seen before, which just skim just over the water, and they've got their lower beak in the water as they fly. It's amazing. Terns, royal terns. It's just like a wildlife haven, but it's right there in the middle of, the most populated, or on the edge of the most populated city in the world. Anyway, the reason I mention it is because, like 2 days after getting back, I spotted a post from someone who I'd connected with while out there, who'd just been swimming with dolphins in captivity, and this is someone who can literally see them from the beach where they live, and it's just beyond me how that could be possible, how there could be such a disconnect, but there is, and that's the thing we have to fix. A lot of it's awareness. A lot of people don't understand what goes on, and we're all guilty of that to some extent, I think, at some point in our life anyway. Jackie, I will go to the camp. I will. I'll go. I just need to know who with and when, and I think this is something else we need to discuss. We need to figure out. This is going to be controversial, and I don't think everyone will like this. I don't say it because I think there's anything wrong with protests and campaigns and whatever, like going to Camp Beagle is, as I said, I will go 100%. But I am very conscious of this thing, which is we have to know what we're aiming to achieve. And of course, obviously we're aiming to achieve stopping it from happening, but we have to have a strategy. And I think it's going to be more than one means. It's petitions, it's going to the camp and protesting, and it's writing to politicians, and I don't know what all the answers are, but there's a ton of stuff needs to be done in order to make change. And especially when it comes to, this is the part that'll be controversial, but it's just a fact. I don't mean to be controversial, but I've done it myself. You guys, half of us have met at protests where I've been speaking outside the Japanese embassy about dolphin slaughter, or the Chinese embassy about the dog meat trade, or you name it, whatever's happening. Imagine this. Imagine a group of Chinese animal activists standing outside the British embassy in Beijing, demanding an end to fox hunting, and how effective that would be, what impact that would have, whether the British government would even hear about it. Certainly we wouldn't, and whether it would impact fox hunting in any way, shape or form. And even if there was people outside the British embassy in China and Japan and the US and Canada and you name it, what impact would that actually have? And that's what we do. That's what we do. And I'm all for it, because partly we need to, I think sometimes we just need to have our voices heard, because we feel like people have got to know that someone's standing up for the animals, and that's us. But I think as in hand with doing that, we need to change our strategy in terms of what we're aiming to achieve and how we're aiming to achieve it. Because I think we all know we've been protesting for years about, well, the Japanese embassy is a good example. I think I've spoken outside that embassy 3, 4, 5 years saying we demand an end to the dolphin slaughter. What's different? today? What's changed? And I'm like, I'm not saying we stop. I'm saying we have to rethink. I can't remember who it was said it. Someone said something very clever. I think they were talking in the context of war. No, they were actually talking in the context of war, but they said those of us who want peace have to learn to organize ourselves just as well as those who want war. And that's kind of it, isn't it? Because we're the peaceful activists, and we need to be really smart. There's people like Philip Limbury who wrote this book, like Will Travers, and many others, many others, who lead the way. They fly the flag, like for us all in that regard. So it's good that we've got them to show us the way. And sorry, I'm sort of multitasking, which, as you probably noticed, I can't do. But yeah, I think we have to celebrate the victories, and we have to follow the lead of people like Will and Philip and whoever is actually making real tangible change, and keep doing all the things we're doing. Of course we do. We have to keep doing these things. And like Ricky Gervais says, I think it was him. Animals don't have a voice, so as long as there's cruelty, you'll never stop hearing mine. That kind of thing. And that's us. Dog meat. We're going to cover that, Dave, for sure. We're going to cover that. Yeah, no, hey, Sandy, funny you mentioned that. That's the reason I do it. Do you know what I was thinking the other day? This might sound absolutely mental. I might lose half you right here. I meditate. I haven't been doing that enough either, but with everything, I think it's really important. And there's a great saying, which is if you have time, you should meditate for 20 minutes a day. And if you don't have time, you should meditate for an hour a day. Clever that. Think about it. When I was meditating the other morning, I was thinking maybe one of the things we should do with this is just meditate. Because how do we know that that's not just as impactful? Like if we got a worldwide group of animal activists just meditating for an hour on what Sandy's just said, animals roaming free in the wild. We're focused on the end result. We're focused on something positive. We're not focused on fighting. And we need to fight too, but I wonder whether we should do that. That, Sandy, is why I post footage of animals roaming free or swimming free or flying. On YouTube today, I hate it. I wish you could block certain suggestions. Maybe you can, I just don't know how. But when YouTube makes suggestions to me about, oh, maybe you'll like this video, sometimes I'm like, what? Why would you think I'd like that video? Of course, they don't know who I am, but I don't ever watch anything that would promote or normalize captivity. And it was a video of a woman. It was a 4-year-old video, so God knows where it came from and why it came onto my suggestions list. But excuse me, it was a woman who had already got a parrot and was introducing a second to it. Now, I've been fortunate enough to be to Costa Rica several times, and I've seen scarlet macaws flying free in the wild. It's one of the most beautiful sights you'll ever see. I'm yet to get a decent photograph of them, which is why you've not seen that yet. But you hear them before you see them. They're amazing. And they're the big, they took parrot on the pirate's shoulder kind of parrot, the scarlet macaws are the red ones. And you see blue ones and all kinds of different ones. And this woman was introducing a second one to the one she already had in her home. And I was just thinking, isn't it incredible? Like if you asked any human being what their one wish would be, there's an enormous proportion of human beings would say, I wish I could fly. Like I wish I could be invisible. Wish I could breathe underwater. I wish I could fly would be one of the biggest, I reckon probably the biggest for a lot of people. And yet we're prepared to take something that can fly and just put it in a box or a cage or a room for our own enjoyment. I don't know how someone can enjoy a thing like that, but they do. And we have to stop it. We have to change people's view. And I think the most powerful way of doing that, even though we might not necessarily even get to see or enjoy the benefits or the change taking place, is what Sandy said, sharing footage of animals roaming free or photographs of animals free. Because we have to put the focus there. I think we have to, alongside everything else. Thanks for that comment, Sandy. That's why I do it. Maybe okay. Well, let's do it. There's a couple of people saying yeah to the meditation thing. I would be well up for that. I really would. I'd be all over it. Let's think about doing that. Maybe we get together a global. Maybe we do a local one first, then a global one or something. But do you know there was a? If you've ever seen a film called What the Bleep Do We Know? I think it was in that. That's a film about quantum physics and the bridge that's being built in modern science between quantum physics and spirituality, and it's staggering. It's fascinating. And one of the things they talk about is a group of Zen Buddhist monks who meditated on peace and love, and unbeknownst to whichever city it took place in, and it was a really violent city in the US, and they had something like a 20% drop in crime during the time that they were doing this. And I'm pretty sure it's not because the Zen Buddhist monks were the criminals and they were too busy meditating. I'm pretty sure it has an impact that we can't possibly measure or see, but why not? And it's good for us too. Let's do it. All right, we'll do that. Meditation's one of them. Darren's saying he loses friends. This is an interesting one. This is tough. Why am I doing this? Look, I'll do that. I'm losing friends by posting about animal cruelty. However, I'm gaining better friends that share my passion. That, Darren, is in my mind, you're touching upon the foremost challenge, the biggest question that we need to learn the answer to and address, which is this broadcast being a great example of it. What Darren has said, and this is with all due respect to all of you guys. Of course, I'm thrilled you're here, because if you weren't, it would be me talking to myself. It's an echo chamber, right? You guys I'm not changing a single mind, because you guys are all wonderful human beings who already agree with me. You wouldn't hurt animals. You already agree with me. You're basically you and I are on the same team, all of us already. And the big question is, how do we get outside of that? This kind of comes back to that point I was making to Jackie about going to Camp Beagle or protesting outside an embassy or whatever it may be. How do we get to the outside of the inner circle that we already have? Because if I chuck a thing on Facebook, say we should be kind to animals or any specific thing along those lines, I'll get about 500 thumbs ups and a couple of hundred comments saying, yeah, absolutely. And I have changed one grand total of zero, nothing. I've changed nothing. I've basically validated my opinion on certain things, because social media is an echo chamber. It's basically you guys see this in your feed because you agree with me already, and you've liked stuff before, or you've liked similar stuff before. Alison saying she can relate to it so much as well. Look, this is something I don't know specifically. I'm sure I've lost so many friends over the years, but like Darren said, we're gaining, I guess, better. They were never friends in the first place, were they? Really, if they leave because you say, wouldn't it be nice if we were kind to animals? But it's a real thing, man. It's like it's how do we get outside of that group? This group, in my case, how do I get outside of this? How do I get this to people who wouldn't normally, certainly on a Saturday night, who wouldn't be listening to this? Who'd be like, oh, animal welfare. That's why the film I made called Freedom, that short film I did in the pandemic, you don't know it's about animals until the very end. Now, you guys will have guessed it, especially by the time you see me pacing in front of the window at the end, like an animal in a cage. You guys know who I am, and you'd have gathered where I was going with it because you're you. But for those folks who didn't know me and still don't, but watch the film, they're watching the film thinking it's about a guy going crazy in lockdown. He's losing his mind because he can't get out. And that everyone can relate to that, and no one minds watching that because it affects them. It relates to them. It's a problem they have. And that's why it doesn't even address it in the film. It waits till the end, and then it says, if you didn't like captivity, don't support it. So if they decide, oh, you bastard, you tricked me, fine, I don't care. And even if I lost friends over it, I don't care, because the next time they think about going to the zoo, maybe I planted a seed. Maybe they'll be like, that bastard, he got me. I don't want to go to the zoo now. And maybe it won't work, but you've got to try, right? And that's why I did that film. And that's why I think we've just got to keep finding ways to get to those folks who aren't part of this group. You folks are just wonderful. I love you all to the end of the earth, because you're always here. Every single time I get on, like nearly 30 of you now on a Saturday evening with a guy waffling about animal welfare for an hour. Oh my God, geez, sorry, I didn't realize it was that long. But how do we get beyond that? How do we get to the folks outside of that? Those are the key questions that we have to answer. Because if we answer those questions, then we start to make big change. And the reason for that, it's a very simple fact. Everyone knows this. It's not us v them. It's not us, a handful of good people, let's say good people, because I think we are, against a handful of bad people who are prepared to experiment on beagles. They're not the enemy. There's less of them than there are of us. They're not the enemy. The enemy is the 98% of the population who are apathetic, who do nothing, who let it go, who pay no attention. They wouldn't approve of it if they knew, or if they took the time to listen to this, they would be like, oh my God, of course I'll sign a petition. Of course that's wrong. Of course that shouldn't be happening. But it is. Apathy is our biggest enemy. If we can get to, because I reckon we're 1% of the population. The bad guys are probably 1%. Trophy hunters, animal experimenters, you name it, all of them, probably 1%. And it's the 98% in the middle of us. That's the real target for me, I think. Anyway, that's what I'm after. Because what I said this last week. If you saw my post about from Montana, week before last, I was in Montana, at Helena, the Montana state capital, at a committee meeting, or the commission of the Fish, Wildlife and whatever it's agriculture, I think it's called. I can't remember. Fish, Wildlife and Parks Department of the government in the United States, and I had the opportunity to talk. And I said exactly that. I said, half of you will laugh at this, but I dream of a world where people aren't kind to animals because there's an enforcement that you have to be, because there's a quota on, you can only shoot this many, or you can hunt that many, or you can, it's wrong to treat animals in this way. If people are only abiding by a set of rules, but behind the scenes they're thinking, oh, if only I could shoot more, we've not won yet. We have got more work to do. And that's where the meditation comes in as well. Because if you think about it, the only real solution to all of this is a conscious shift where people don't want to do it. They're not kind to animals because there's rules preventing them from being unkind. They're kind because it's the right thing to do. That's what I want to set out to achieve with all of you lot. Oh, what an angel. Maggie, thank you. What a lovely thing to say. Look, Maggie, you didn't miss anything. I just literally at about 8 o'clock, I decided to go online. I decided to go live, and it's literally just gone 9 now. I just thought, all right, if not now, when? I'm stealing some president's speech. That's not what I meant, but you get me. I don't know. No, you know what, Maggie? You don't need a reminder. I'll tell you why. It's because what I'll do in the future is what I used to do, which is I'll schedule these things. So I literally got onto StreamYard, which is the thing I use to do this, which is the reason for that is so that it can be on Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. Because I've got a YouTube channel that I really want to grow. Because talking about that point I just made, how do we get outside of the inner circle? YouTube isn't so much of an echo chamber. It is still an echo chamber to an extent. But like I said, I just got some nonsense video about a woman getting a second parrot for her home. So if YouTube is a generic platform, isn't it? You don't have to be a member of YouTube to watch a YouTube video, but you have to be signed up and a member of Facebook to see this. So I'm trying to ease over to YouTube, but I'm not in any hurry to do it. I could always do them simultaneously, so I'll always be here on Facebook. And what I'll do, Maggie, in future is I will schedule these things. That's what we'll do. Dave, that's such a lovely comment. It's such a nice comment. I can't even post it because I'll feel embarrassed. But thank you, my friend. Thank you. And Alison as well. You guys, love you all. I should probably stop this because it's like we're an hour and 5 minutes in, and I could go on all night about this subject because it's my purpose in life. That's what it comes down to. So rest assured, I'm not going anywhere. Whatever happens in my personal life, I'm not going anywhere. We're going to keep fighting the good fight. And I don't even want to use the word fight, actually, because I think that may be something we need to change. Paul Dubbridge, good to see you too, my friend. It's been too long. Look at that. Paul and I worked on a film together. I was going to say Paul was the director. He wasn't, but he might as well have been. He should have been. He was the cinematographer, the DOP, if you will. And he's a legend, and he's my dear friend. Paul, it's so good to see you, mate. We need to catch up. Joanna. You made me blush. Do you need to sign up to YouTube to make comments? I think you do, Lynn, but the thing about YouTube is you don't need a profile. You signing up on YouTube literally just means having an email address and a password, and you've got an account. And I've had an account for years on YouTube where I'm literally, I don't know who these 3 people are, but there's 3 people following me for no reason. I've never released a video. And I'm following like 450 different channels all about photography and wildlife and charities and all that kind of stuff. So you need to sign up, but you don't need to pay. You don't need to have a profile. You don't need to put a photo up. And you don't need to do or say anything. You can literally just have an account and you don't even need that to watch videos. But yes, to comment, you do need an account. So yeah, jump on. And actually, that's probably something I need to. I'm not good at asking for stuff. Especially money. I'm not going to ask you for money, by the way. But I hate saying, "Oh, follow me, follow my YouTube channel," because it sounds like you're just going, "Oh, I want more followers." I don't care. Other than the fact that I think YouTube is probably going to be the answer to, or a minute part of the answer to that question about how do we get outside of this inner circle? How do we get outside of the echo chamber and actually start talking to people who don't think the same way as us, who don't give a crap about animals, and whose minds we are changing if we can get this message across to them. What is the event in Surrey you talked about, please? I'll show you. Well, I won't show you. Actually, well, I will. No, I will. Look, let's just be brave. Share screen. It will be a mess to start with, like it was before, because you can see infinite me like that. But I'm very quickly going to do that. There you go. So now you see this is Born Free. This is just the Born Free homepage, right? The www.bornfree.org.uk. I'm hoping you guys are seeing my cursor moving around on the screen and that you're seeing the Born Free website right now. And look, I'll just scroll up to show you what I'm talking about. This is the top of the Born Free homepage. This is it. So you just scroll down a wee bit past the Bristol exhibition information there to there, Born Free's main event. This is on the 23rd, Friday the 23rd of September. And tickets are available right there. And look, boom, they'll be there. James Lewis, absolute living legend of an auctioneer and a Born Free patron, he'll be there. We'd be absolutely delighted to see you there. So if any of you guys would like to join us, if any of you guys are working for a business and you want to buy a corporate table, there's tables available. I say that, I should be careful because they might well be close to sold out now. But that is the event I was talking about in Surrey. So it's at, look, the Denbies Wine Estate in the stunning Surrey countryside. Jump in. I was just going to see if there's a picture of King up here. Is that King? That looks like King right there, but it's not because he doesn't have a fence. It's good, isn't it? All right, stop sharing. There we are. Does that answer your question there? I hope it does. Maggie. Jen, I'm looking to rescue. Sorry, I keep forgetting I can do this. Look, looking to rescue some animals to give them a safe haven and a forever home. You're an angel, Jen. Thank you for doing that. And anything I can do to help point you towards rescues or what, I don't know what, I assume you're talking about a dog or a cat. You're in the right place. There's loads of people right here will be more than happy to help you. So I'm sure you'll see a bunch of comments in response to your own, pointing you towards rescues. Anything you need, just ask. See, when I say about the inner circle and we've got to get outside of it, we do for the message to be spread further, but we don't for this kind of thing. This is what I love about the inner circle. Maybe the inner circle sounds elitist. I don't mean it like that. I just mean you already care. You are the people who will immediately respond to Jen and say, oh, I know this rescue, I know that rescue, I know this dog, I know that dog, because you're wonderful. Lynn says, set up that charity and go into schools and educate the children. Absolutely. And Born Free has got, in fact, all of the charities I work with pretty much have got an education team who do that kind of thing. And their challenge is getting the schools to, you know, they'll see it as a special project, as a special event, not as a thing that's in the curriculum. Wouldn't it be great to get it in the curriculum? Again, that was one of the comments, the suggestions made in terms of subject matter we could discuss on, and we'll just, that's a great subject to discuss, is education. How do we get compassion, kindness, animal welfare, animal conservation, and all that good stuff into the school education system, into the curriculum? Who wouldn't benefit from that? And I don't just mean animals, of course. I don't just mean us, because we're thinking, oh yeah, that'd be good for animals. How could society as a whole not benefit from children being taught compassion and kindness and empathy? I've always found that bizarre. But they'll teach Latin. No disrespect to any of your Latin professors. Sorry, I don't want to polarize anyone. I should shut up. I'm sorry, I'm just reading it may look like I'm just drifting off into the ether. I'm just reading your comments. Oh, great, Maggie. Hopefully see you there. If you do end up at the event, be sure to come say hi. I'll be there. Darren taking your daughter to uni on that day. Wow, big day, man. I hope it goes well. Sarah, it's great. Let's see now. There you go. Central. I mean, well, see, this is the sort of value of these kinds of conversations, because why shouldn't it be central? I mean, don't get me wrong, Surrey isn't even terribly convenient for anyone other than those people. I suppose it is pretty convenient for London. It's probably about 45-50 minutes away, but you're quite right. Why shouldn't there be an event somewhere like, you know, the Midlands, or I don't know, somewhere more central? Why shouldn't there be 3 events, you know, south, central and north, so that everyone can attend? I suppose it's cost, isn't it, and it's resources, and you know, but it's a great point, Sarah, and we should talk to some charities about doing just that. And you know, earlier on in this conversation, I mentioned one of my favorite comments that came up from the post I put up, which was that question around how do you get activists to come together to form a bigger united team, or whatever you want to call it, united front. Wouldn't it be amazing if it's too much for a charity to take on doing south, central and north events? What about if it was a consolidation of 5 charities, a shared event? I don't know. This is what makes these conversations so valuable, because you guys throw in comments like that and it's brilliant. This is a very good point. That's a beautiful point. And I'm going to just outright admit, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm so sorry. I don't even want to attempt it, because I'll just make an absolute mess of it. So can you give me a phonetic spelling in the chat, so I know what to call you? Because I hate getting people's names wrong. I was talking to someone the other day whose name is spelled L-E-A, and I assumed her name was Leah, but I asked her and it was pronounced Lee. Underlining the importance of, look, Rory. Let's see what Rory's got to say. Lynn, that would be fab. I recently ran workshops for kids. Okay, so Rory's responding to the question, the point Lynn made about education. So this is a really great point from Rory, and Rory is someone we need to talk to collectively, because Rory is really a leader in this field. And I know that from, I'm not just being kind, Rory. I've seen you speak. I've had the pleasure of seeing you speak, and you've got that way about you. You engender trust and confidence and support, and you really know what you're talking about. So I recently ran workshops for kids about veganism at a Scout Jamboree, and they were so receptive. Kids are the way forwards, honestly. They all came in unsure, yet left so positive about veganism, like fish in a barrel, or some more vegan metaphor. But I get your point. That's the importance of education. It's absolutely key. Why don't we all help charities, Viva, Born Free, Animals Asia, Good Heart Animal Sanctuary, the whole lot of them. What about if they had a group of volunteers like us saying, well, you haven't got time and the money for it, we'll do it. I've got kids in this school, I'll at least go and open the door to that school or that school board or whatever it may be. I don't have kids. So I'm not actually saying that, but I'm saying, wouldn't it be great if we support these charities in that way? It's a brilliant idea. So, yeah. But the thing about these, wouldn't it just, look at that, on the same topic, if we can just get businesses, hotels, conference centers to offer, and I think they do. I have to say, I think they have at the very least charity rates, but they certainly don't often, I don't think, give it to them for free. But there are exceptions to that, and if we can leverage those, if we've got contacts in those sorts of places. Do you remember 15 minutes ago I said I really need to end this? I think that's another, joking aside, I think that's another good point. I think I need to be genuinely careful about how long I let these things go on for. This is different. This is a conversation about what the conversations will be going forward, what the topics will be. I think we need to keep them real short, sharp, and succinct. Less is more. And the reason I say that is because there'll be people who'll see this on Facebook and go, oh, I wonder what Dan was talking about. And then they'll go, an hour and 15 minutes. I'm not watching that. And I understand that, because that's the length of a movie. That's a big commitment in time. What we're like as people. We all have busy lives. By the way, there's so many comments. There's there's more than 70. I don't know how many the comments are. I can't see a number, but there's a ton of comments, and I apologize because I know I'll be missing some. I'm just not. Sayani, great, thank you, Sayani. There you go, everyone. That is how you pronounce Sayani. Sayani. I mean, the thing is, that would have been my guess, but then what's the name of that actress? And I'm going to just say something like Cersei, but it's not pronounced that at all. And like, how do you spell Kaylee? The Kaylee, the Irish dance. So had I said Sayani, I'd have thought everyone would go, oh, you moron. And it's Sayani. Nice to meet you, Sayani. And thank you for educating me on how to pronounce your name. Yeah, Tinder nonsense. There it is again. Look, they're coming back, whoever these people are. How do they get this? Where are they? How would they be among the 30 people watching a live broadcast? Or is it just, I don't know how it works, but anyway. Holding events at fairs, fates, local shows up and down the country. Absolutely. All of these ideas. See, this is the value of these things. I would like to go to the Born Free event. Is it a vegan dinner? It is indeed. Champagne Susie. It is indeed a vegan dinner. Otherwise, I wouldn't be going either. It's a great question. Yeah. So Sarah, you did attend an event in Birmingham. There you go. Born Free had an event in Birmingham. So it shows you. I think we have to remember, of course, that Born Free and everyone else has been really strapped for cash lately. Here's a nice one. Look, we're going to end on a positive. They've been strapped for cash and they haven't done any in-person events since the pandemic hit. Irish dance. Kaylee. But it's actually pronounced... It's pronounced Kaylee, but it's not spelt like that, is it? It's spelt in the most ridiculous way. No disrespect to the Irish language. You can't even guess at how it's spelled. It's so crazy. Does anyone know how to spell? This is going so off topic. Look it up. Kaylee, an Irish dance. The spelling of it is spectacularly staggering. So it's a blue cove. And what that means, folks, for anyone who doesn't know, the blue cove that I'll just get your laugh out there. There we go. That Ariana and Jackie were referring to, Happy Blue Cove Sunday, is when I talked about the Japanese dolphin slaughter. Blue Cove is no dolphins have been killed. If you see, there's a documentary called The Cove. If you haven't seen it, I apologize in advance because it's going to break your heart, but it's worth watching. It's actually an Oscar-winning film. The director, Luis Ahoyas, was my second guest on the Food for Thought live broadcasts, which you'll find on my YouTube channel, which I should probably put a link to somewhere, shouldn't I? But anyway, I'll do that separately. Blue Cove. The film was called The Cove, and subsequent to that film, they now have monitors watching the Cove, updating people like Jackie and Ariana and the rest of us as to whether dolphins have survived the day. Blue Cove is good news. The water is blue. Red Cove, not so good. That's what that means. There we go. Look, Lynn's making a very, very important point here. New activist groups take ideas forward to support each other, to do the talks and do the educational visits, etc. 100% agree. 100% agree. I mean, I do it already, but I mean a group. We create a group and we are getting out there, spreading the word. I bet you, Rory. There you go. Look, Rory, who I was just talking about. That's how you spell Kaylee. Not this bit here. That's just him smiling. That is how you spell Kaylee. Have a word. Literally have a word. That's ridiculous. Who? I'm going off topic, but you get me. That's not how you spell Kaylee, but it is. And Rory, as I say, you know, like that's that point that Lynn just made. That suggestion there. Of course, you've got your work to do with Viva, but your advice on that would be enormously valuable at the very least, because I think that's something that we need to look at and perhaps look to adopt. Adopt, don't shop. See what I did there. There are tables of 8+, but do you know if individuals book a ticket, what happens? Yeah, you can book an individual ticket, Maggie. Yeah, you don't have to book a table of 8. Sorry, you'll find yourself, if you book a ticket on your own, or just 2 of you or whatever it is, you'll just be put on a table with other people who've done the same. And rest assured, they'll all be nice people, because they wouldn't be buying tickets to the event otherwise. Okay, so folks, I'm going to call it right there, because it really is ridiculous now. It's an hour and 22 minutes, and I literally thought I'd just come on and say, buy this, get a ticket, Born Free main event. I didn't. But listen, thank you, and I love you all. I mean, this has been amazing. I really appreciate your interaction, your engagement, and your comments, and your support, because this without you is pointless. So let's aim. I'll announce it. I'm not sure when it will be, because I've got a wedding to go to next Saturday, and then the Born Free event is a week Friday, 2 weeks from yesterday. So I've got a couple of big events coming up anyway. But as soon as I can figure a date, I will do the first of the broadcasts, and you will all see it scheduled on my Facebook page. And let's keep this conversation going, because it's incredibly valuable. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you on the next one. Thanks, folks. Bye.